morning, everyone. Today, we have the pleasure of having Dr. Priyanka with us, and she's in US for more than 16 years, and she is a postgraduate in medicine and went to US to do her advanced program in cardiology. And when she went to US, she find patients. There is a lot of gap between the treatment that is happening in other parts of the world vis-a-vis USA because of the advanced drugs and trials which are happening out there. And based on this, she thought to help all those patients who require advanced treatment, surgeries, and thus she has helped a lot of patients from coming from different uh, part of the world going to US for medical treatment. Recently, we have heard about her helping a patient who is suffering from muscular dystrophy, going to US for clinical trials. What is this about?
Thank you, Cindy, for having me. And I think it's such a pleasure to be on a platform which is doing the same for the patients in India, connecting them to the best treatment around the world. Recently, we had this very young patient. So it's a special condition which generally affects young kids and particularly more male kids. And so it's called DMD, Duchenne muscular dystrophy, a genetic disorder. And this patient parents have tried all the means, even by bringing the patient here. So they have been traveling with this patient, I think since he was 2 years old, back and forth from, in US, trying to find some solution for him by themselves. And that is where I think the real delay happen in finding the treatment for this young kid is because these are international patients or international people trying to come into the healthcare system, which is very developed, but it's not simple. It's a complex system to navigate. Without having an expertise in navigating a healthcare system in US, it's really difficult for patients who think that they can just come here and try to find a solution. So that is exactly what with this patient, they literally struggle for 5 years doing this back and forth, which obviously made the disease progress to a little more advanced stage with this kid, decreasing the chances of improvement. And this case was referred to us with a very less hope the parents had on finding something. And interestingly, this case was referred when I was traveling in India. I was in India that time traveling for some conferences, and that is where this case was referred. So one thing I promised to this mother that either you go into the care to the treatment process or not, that's a different thing, into trial. But one thing I promise you, I'll match you with at least 2 clinical trials within a month. So for her, that was something like, I'm just over promising, because they tried for past 5 years and they couldn't get any success. So that's what we did with this case is, we worked and we'll go maybe through a little step-by-step process for audiences to know how it actually works when international patients are trying to access the clinical trials here. But that is what we work with this, for this patient. And I think the biggest achievement and satisfaction we got is that on 28th day of the promised time, we were able to match him not only just 2, but 3 programs, clinical trial programs, that was able to accept him at the stage he was, and being an international patient, having no, proper status in United States. So yeah, that was one of, I think, one of our very happy stories.
Yeah, that sounds very interesting. I'd like to know about this disorder. Isn't there any treatment in India for this disorder?
There's no treatment per se for disorder anywhere, but these clinical trials are the best options for these patients, because these are very promising. The clinical trials are the most promising treatment for these patients, which really help them to, first of all, it helps them to stop the progress of the disease, give them better, longer survival. And third, it helps them to lead a more normal life. Like they can enter into normal schools. They can lead a lot of. So the most promising is the clinical trials like gene therapy. There are some commercial also trials, like commercial treatments that has been approved by FDA, which is coming out. So these are very promising in this case of muscular dystrophy. We have seen the success rate in the past, obviously considering they start early, but they are promising gene therapy programs for this kind of a condition.
We also have a lot of news and about the cost of treatment of this disorder, which is very, very high. Is this true?
I always say when we talk about the cost of a treatment and we talk about the quality of treatment, they both are not exactly, because if we are looking for quality, the cost would come with that. So US though provides the best cutting edge technologies. They have the researchers that they do. So obviously they have the most advanced treatment offerings that they do, the diagnostic offering, but it definitely comes with a cost because a lot of cost goes in researching and finding that treatment. So it is expensive, I would say. Now, when it comes to clinical trials, not all clinical trials are expensive. That is something also patients sometimes being international doesn't know if they don't have the right resources to find out. Not all clinical trials are the one that you have to, are expensive. So there are two categories. If the clinical trial is still into their trial phase, and depending on what phase they are, and if they have not yet commercialized, then in most cases it is free for the patients. So the treatment course would be free for the patient in most of the cases, because that is where the companies who's doing this trials, they bear that expenses, so patient doesn't have to pay anything out of pocket for the treatment. Now there are some where if it's already commercialized, then there would be some cost, but again there are a lot of subsidies sometimes are available depending on the type and the stage.
Well, I feel it's very, very good options for the patients who do not have any hope or need treatment left. And yeah, they're looking for some new treatments, and they definitely to take this risk is better than not, taking any risk and not taking any step for the treatment. If any patient would like to take part in such kind of trials, I heard more than 7,000 ongoing recruitment in clinical trials only in the treatment in the field of cancer. How a patient can proceed?
We really hold their hand from the very starting of journey, and we take an advisory call. We understand the whole medical condition of the patient, which includes taking a interview with the patient or their parents or the caregivers, collecting the medical document, understanding the whole medical condition of the patient, what all the detail which is important. Once we have that, then we prepare the patient file. Having that patient file help us to research the programs that are appropriate for that particular condition stage, because as we know, in case of a clinical trial and genetic diseases or any of these cancer treatment to clinical trials, it all depends on stage. What stage are you at, what age group you are in at, and a lot of other factors. So we do research that and match them to the programs that have that criteria, the important criteria matching, as I said, stage, age, and such. Um, Also, another thing that we have to work with the international patients, because not all programs, unfortunately, takes international patients. We do get very restricted when it comes to international patients, because again, they do need some legal status when for to enroll these patients into clinical trials. So again, that's another research that we have to do, find that particular program that would accept the international patients, on what criteria, insurance, non-insurance, a lot of logistics have to be worked out. Once that is done, the patients are matched with few of these programs. We work, to get them accepted. Once matched, we get them accepted. Once they're accepted, that is where the patient is given, like, the complete or details, like, okay, this would be the program, the length of the program, and all the other details. Patient, what has to do is accept that. Once the patient accept, then we work again with the program in order to get the required medical letters for the visa, the travel, and all that. We work for that. And once that all has been done, once patient is here, then patient is get connected to the clinical trial, the hospital, and a research institute, and then the journey begins for the patient from there.
Can you name some of the hospitals where the patients can hope to get enrolled?
Most of the big hospitals do run their research programs. Like, for example, UCLA Health is a very, a hospital, but they run a research institute. So one thing I mean, if they are doing their own research, one thing is like always look for the hospital that says research institute along with their, the thing. So UCLA is one. Stanford runs a lot of research programs. So Stanford is another. The Texas Children's Hospital runs a lot of clinical trials in pediatrics. Mayo Clinic runs clinical trials. And then there are a lot of private clinical trials, which are not associated directly with the hospital, but they are privately, done clinical trials. So, but most of the major hospitals like UCLA, MD Anderson, Mayo Clinic, Stanford, they all do clinical trials, and we are partners with these 11 leading hospitals, not only just for clinical trials, helping for the treatment and also the second opinion services. So for all three, we do get sometimes a little, I won't say the front row seat, but we do get heard and get our case accepted in a much faster way.
Okay. So these patients do get preference because they are coming from other parts of the world. They are not natives of the local country, and we can help them accelerate the process for recruitment and appointment and all those details, I believe. So if any patient who is willing to go there for clinical trial recruitment, and he has and the hospital has accepted his case, what are the help that we are providing to the patient apart from just helping them in the recruitment?
That's being coming from the Asia and India. Let's say if the patient is coming from India or UAE, which is again the similar culture, we also help them something which is non-medical. And what it means, we tell them what to bring as a masala and not what to bring as a masala. Because sometimes, these clinical trials are a long process. And sometimes patients are overwhelmed. Can we bring this? Can we bring this? Can we bring this pressure cooker? This. I was like, okay. So we also sometimes go out of the non-medical, and it's like, this is all good, but don't bring this, because once it gets reported, then it gets very difficult. So we guide into like that. But other than that, we also help patients in guiding for accommodations, because again, these trial programs are long term. They are for weeks or sometimes even for months or years it goes, the program. So helping them with the accommodation, long term accommodation, short term accommodation. There are patients sometimes that also require help in transportation. So we help them with the transportation, so we do help them what is required for them to take the effective treatment, considering what all other services. So we do provide as a medical concierge service the whole package for them, depending what they are looking for.
Okay, so the patient doesn't need to worry about anything in US apart from his own treatment. So the patient can focus on the treatment, and rest of the things we can manage.
So we always say we are that friends. We are that far distance friends for them in US. So when they are here, we are those friends that whenever they need, we do it. So we do provide a dedicated, as a patient pal or a patient friend, you can call it, which they can always reach. Obviously, I always let the patients know that what the expectations have to be, not really become the small kind of a stuff, but any major thing, we are here for them as a friend, as a family, far away from home.
So that sounds very interesting and good, Dr. Priyanka. It was really nice speaking to you, and hope to catch you for other topics that we can discuss for the patient benefit. Uh, for the viewers, if you would like to go to US for any kind of treatment or trials, all the details are given on the comment on the description of this video, and you can contact on these numbers and email IDs, and will ensure that you get to the best of the trials or the treatment centers in US. Thank you, Dr. Priyanka.
Sure, thank you. And we really look forward to work with your Cancer Facts, because ultimately our mission is the same: connect patients to the best care available in the world. So I think we are aligned with the vision. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Priyanka.